Hello everyone, my name is Jane and welcome to my 5-star predictions for 2022, which is crazy that 2022 is actually almost here. Like you can see, I have a new bookshelf organization. I think it's pretty nice. I am going to talk about it a little bit more in my next video because I did a huge haul and that's why I reorganized my shelf. And yes, the rainbow bookshelves are gone, but I just want to say that the thing is that I don't have almost any more space for books and I will probably add in the near future another bookshelf. So this reorganization is just for me to test if I like the idea of being without bookshelves and organizing everything in genres, because this is what I was doing in the past before I started the rainbow organization. So this is just testing. I just want to see how everything is filmed, and also decoration wise I'm also going to change them in future videos just to test a few things and how everything looks in the background. So yes, I do have new bookshelf reorganization, but again it's just testing. I really hope to get the other bookshelf pretty soon. But yes, like I said, I will talk about it in my next video, the huge haul that I'm doing. But today I'm here to talk about my 5-star predictions for 2022 because we are getting close to 2022 and I do have some predictions of books that I know that I'm going to read in 2022. I might read some of them in 2021, but I don't think so. And also if yes, the majority will be still in 2022. Now, if you saw my last video, me reacting to my previous 5-star predictions, you know that I'm really bad at 5-star predictions. Like actually none of the books that I was talking about in my previous 5-star prediction video were 5 stars, and not only, I think that the majority of them were books that I didn't enjoy, that I gave 3 stars and less, which is really bad. So yes, I was really bad at predicting 5 stars, but I am learning more and more about my reading taste and I am much more confident about the books today. I really tried to actually pick only books that I really believe that are going to be 5 stars. So I do think that this video is going to be much more successful. At least that's what I'm hoping for, because those are books that I really think that I'm going to love. So hopefully I will be right. And yes, I'm really excited to share with you my 5-star predictions. So let's start. So I'm going to start with 2 books, and that's because those are the only 2 books here that are from the same author, but I strongly believe that both of them will be 5 stars. Maybe you can guess it, but I'm talking about Winterwood and A History of Wild Places by Shah Earnshaw. Now, I read this year The Wicked Deep. You can see it here. The Wicked Deep was my most favorite book of 2021, and The Wicked Deep touched me so much. Honestly, in another level, I don't think a book made me feel this way for years. It was an amazing experience. So obviously, I do think that Shah Earnshaw other books are also going to be 5 stars. Now, Winterwood really gives me the same vibes of The Wicked Deep. Basically, this book is about a town, and in this town there is woods, and those woods are deep and dark, and everyone are scared from them. And there is a teenager that everyone are suspecting this teenager to be a witch, and this is supposed to be also a romance story because this teenager meets another boy. Now, it gives me basically the same vibes of The Wicked Deep, because also in The Wicked Deep we had a story about a town, and this town didn't have the woods, it was a lot around the water because it was a port town. But I feel like the book will be the same vibes, just not water setting and more wood setting, obviously because the title of the book. It just gives me the same vibes, and because of it I do think that I'm going to adore it. And also The Wicked Deep was her debut, so it's supposed to be better because now she has more experience. Now on the other end, A History of Wild Places is a new release. It's going to be released I think this week or next week, and I pre-ordered it, so I'm really waiting for my copy. And it's Shah Earnshaw adult debut, because this is her first adult book, because her 2 previous ones were young adult. And the thing that this isn't fantasy, or 2 first books were dark fantasy, but this is supposed to be a thriller mystery, which is really different from what she wrote so far. But the thing is that I looked at reviews on Goodreads and it seems like people say that this is her best book yet, and she wrote an amazing book, and it just makes me so much more excited to read it. And I do really love thriller mysteries, so I'm so interested to see what she's going to do with the thriller mystery and what's going to be the plot, because I don't want to know a lot about the plot. But yes, overall those 2 books are on my 5-star predictions because the writing of Shah Earnshaw was just amazing for me, and it really felt to me like I was in another world, and it impacted me so much that I can't not think that also her other books are going to touch me in the same way. I really hope that it will happen, but I strongly believe that yes, because the writing was just amazing. This is her writing, so I don't think it's going to change, especially because I do see from reviews on Goodreads that people that enjoy The Wicked Deep also really love the rest of her books. So yes, I really strongly believe that those 2 are going to be 5 stars, and I really can't wait to read both of them. them. The next book is a first book in an adult fantasy trilogy. This is The Poppy War by R.F. Kong, and I'm going to read it in 2022, so I'm so excited. Basically, this is an adult fantasy that is Asian-inspired. We are following a peasant that was chosen to go to some kind of academy to learn to be a part of this really big war that is going in the world, and I heard that this book is very dark and just very hard to read. There is a lot of really hard topics here, but the reason that I think that it's going to be 5 stars is because from all the reviews, it seems like people love this trilogy more than everything, and I do get really strong vibes here, something that I'm going to love. I personally really love books about death and humanity and just all of those things, and I think that the setting of this book is going to talk a lot about those topics, which are for me the topics that are touching for me the most, and I really think that the whole trilogy is going to be a really good trilogy for me. Hopefully even all of the books is going to be 5 stars, and also usually first book in a series is my favorite book, so I do think that specifically The Poppy War is going to be 5 stars because I always get so excited for the start of a series, and I really believe that it's going to be 5 stars just because it's so amazing. And also I have friends with similar reading taste that really love the series. Yeah, Charlotte, I'm talking about you, but I'm just so excited to get to it, and I really can't wait, and I strongly believe that it's going to be 5 stars. I really hope that I'm not wrong. Now the next book is another new release, and it's by one of my most favorite authors, and this is Gilded by Marissa Meyer, which I'm crazy excited to read. Now basically Marissa Meyer is the author of the Lunar Chronicles, of Heartless. I love her writing so much, and honestly not all of the books that I read by her were my favorites. I do have one book by her that I read that I gave 2 stars, so it's not like everything she's writing is amazing for me, but I'm getting a strong feeling that this is going to be a new fave. Now this is basically a retelling of this retelling that I can't pronounce this name, I'm sorry, but this is retelling of this, and it's supposed to be a lot around romance, and the main character of the story has a talent of storytelling, so all the retelling is going to be on this aspect. At least that's what I believe. Now I do really love retellings usually, and also Marissa Meyer usually writes retellings and she's doing it in a really good way, and I feel like because I'm not really familiar with the original story, it will be more surprising to me to read this one, and I feel like this is just those kind of books that I get the vibe that it's going to be 5 stars, and because of it it's a 5-star prediction for me. But again, I love Marissa Meyer, usually I enjoy her books, and I do strongly believe that this book is going to be a win and that it's going to be 5 stars. I really hope that I'm right, and yes, Gilded is another 5-star prediction. Now the next book is Dark and Shallow Lies by Jeannie Meyer Sane. Now this is basically a fantasy, but it's also a thriller mystery. It's a lot of genres, it's contemporary. The reason that I think it's going to be 5 stars is because I actually already read a fourth of the book. I read it I think last month when I got into a reading slam. Because I got into a reading slam, I stopped reading this book because I didn't want to waste such a good book that I was so enjoying from on such a bad reading month. And I also listened to it in audiobook, and I do strongly believe that if I'm going to read it physically, it's going to be 5 stars. The writing and the atmosphere is the exact thing that I love and that I search in books. I realize on myself that I love atmospheric books so much. Like I just love those books that you actually feel like you're in the story itself and that you can feel the atmosphere around you. And I feel like the writing in this book really made me feel this way. We're basically following a teenager that every summer is going to visit her grandmother in some isolated town, and in this town the children has some special ability, a fantasy ability, and she is the only one without an ability, and now her best friend is getting missing, so she's trying to understand what is happening, and it was just so good. So that's why I believe it's going to be 5 stars, because I already read a fourth of it and I already really enjoyed it. So it's just a matter of if it's going to be a 4 or a 5 star for me, and I strongly believe that potentially it can be 5 stars, and I really hope that I'm right. Now I'm crazy excited for the next book, because this is You Must Not Miss by Katrina Leno, another book that I'm so excited to read. This is basically a YA horror, and Katrina Leno is the author of Horrid. Horrid, you can see it here, and Horrid is also one of my most favorite books of the year. And yes, it doesn't mean that everything that I'm going to read from Katrina Leno is going to be 5 stars, and actually Horrid wasn't 5 stars, it was 4.5 stars, which is really close to 5 stars, but not 5 stars. But I still believe that this book specifically is going to be 5 stars. I already talked about it a lot on my channel before, and I'm really scared to get to it because it's a 5-star prediction, but just the whole atmosphere here sounds to me again like an atmospheric book that I'm really going to love. And here we are following a teenager that doesn't get well with her family, and in school she feels pretty alone, and then she is creating a world from her imagination, and she writing everything in a notebook, but then this world is coming coming into life or something like this. I just feel like this book is going to be really touching for me. Just a book that I'm really going to love. And this is again a YA horror, so I feel like the whole atmospheric here is just going to be something that I would really adore. And if it's going to make me feel like horror it made me feel, it's going to be really amazing, because again, horror is one of my most favorite books of the year. So yes, I'm just super excited to read You Must Not Miss, and hopefully it will be 5 stars, just a book that I'm going to really love. Now the next book is actually more of a tricky prediction, but I can't really do 5-star predictions without some tricky predictions. I feel like this is all the fun. And this is The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. Now this is a first book in a trilogy, but not only, it's also the first trilogy in a big world with a lot of trilogy and a lot of books in it. This is an adult fantasy, so I'm pretty intimidated to read this book because it's adult fantasy. And the reason that I feel like it's pretty tricky is because I heard that this book is really slow, a lot of slow burn, really slow and more character driven. And I am more of a plot driven reader, but I feel like if the plot is good and if the plot is structured and feel logical to me, although it's not a plot driven story, I can still enjoy it. Basically here we are following someone that is starting to be an apprentice of an assassin, like you can understand from the title. But basically I just heard that the whole world is really fascinating, and the whole setting of the world is a lot around water because it's supposed to be a lot in ships. All of the plot is going to be a lot in ships. I'm not sure if there is pirates, but logically there is going to be pirates. And I do really love books in a water setting, pirates, mermaids, just all of the stuff. And I feel like the world building and the fantasy element will really give me this setting that I'm really looking for. And this is the main reason that I do think that I'm going to enjoy this series, because of the setting. And I also heard that Robin Hobb's writing is really good. So I do feel that although it's a character-driven story, there is a lot of potential for this story to be something that I'm really going to love. And I really hope so, because it's the start of a trilogy and like a start of a new world. So hopefully I'm going to really enjoy it. And honestly, I can't wait to read it, although I'm really intimidated to start it. Now the next book is another character-driven story, but this is a story that I'm really positive that it's going to be 5 stars, although it's character-driven. And this is The Book Thief. Now the reason that I'm thinking that it's going to be 5 stars is because of the theme of the story. Basically we're following a child in World War II. I'm pretty sure that she is Jewish, and her family and her are trying to escape and to survive. But the really unique thing in the story is that we are supposed to follow the whole story through the POV of death, the death itself, which is already sounds really intriguing to me, just something really different. First of all, I think that I'm really going to love the writing, and writing is usually the thing that makes me enjoy the book most. So I really think that I'm going to love this writing style. But again, I already said it in this video, I really love books about death and about humanity. I really love when those themes are explored in books, and usually my favorite books are books with those kinds of themes. And because this is a book about World War II and we're actually following death, I feel like this theme is going to be really explored in this book, and it's going to be a main part of the story. And also in general, the whole World War II is a topic that is really interesting to me. I learned a lot about it in school, so I really want to read more things about World War II because I don't read a lot of historical fiction. So yes, hopefully it's going to be another 5 stars, and I'm pretty confident that it's going to be. Now, how can I do a 5-star prediction video without a book by Colin Hoover, one of my most favorite authors? This book is all of your perfects that I'm so excited to read. Now basically, Colin Hoover is one of my most favorite authors. I love her books so much. Not all of them are 5 stars, also not all of them are 4 stars, but the majority of them are books that I really enjoyed. And also I predicted another book by Colin Hoover in my previous 5-star predictions video, and this was the only book that were 4 stars from this prediction video. So it's a good direction to pick Colin Hoover, because again, I usually enjoy her books. But the reason that I think that this book specifically is going to be 5 stars out of all of her books that I didn't read yet is because also the reviews about this book is amazing, but also the topic, I feel like it will be more of the impactful and emotional books by Colin Hoover, because this is a second chance romance. We are following a married couple that are getting divorced. I just feel like this whole topic, especially because it's already a married couple and not just a couple that were together in the past and they're getting back together again, actually a married couple for a lot of years, it's going to be such an emotional and sad story. I'm ready to cry from this book non-stop, just to sob my eyes out from this book. It also seems like everyone who read this book cried so much, so I'm sure that I'm going to cry from it, but I just feel like the whole story is going to be really touching for me. Second chance romances are usually pretty sad, and I just feel like it's going to be such a sad story. Yes, like Colin Hoover always touches me. Most of her books really make me cry, so obviously this one's going to make me cry. And yes, yes, I'm really excited to get into it, and I'm really scared to get into it because it's going to make me so sad and cry so much. But I feel like if I will be in the perfect mood for it, it will be 5 stars. And last but not least, I have here The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstein. Now, this is another tricky prediction because I'm not sure that it's going to be 5 stars, but I really hope that it's going to be 5 stars. And basically, we are following a circus, a really magical circus that just appears at night, and it's supposed to be a really touching love story. Now, except the all amazing reviews about this book, I also know that this book is pretty atmospheric. Like the whole setting of the circus, just everything here is really atmospheric and magical, and also the writing is supposed to be really touching and really amazing. I feel like this is a book that potentially can be 5 stars for me because it has the things that I'm looking for, the atmospheric and the magical, and again, the romance is a big part of the story, and I do love romance, so I feel like I can really love this book. Again, this is a pretty tricky 5-star prediction, but I do feel like I need to do some tricky 5-star predictions just to make it more interesting, but I do really hope for it to be 5 stars, because again, potentially all the idea and everything sounds to me like something that can be 5 stars for me. And yes, I really hope to read it this winter because it just gives me a lot of winter vibes. Hopefully, I really hope that it's going to be 5 stars. And yes, it was my 5-star predictions for 2022. I'm so excited for all of those books. I really believe that they are going to be 5 stars, at least the majority of them. Like, I strongly believe that I'm really going to love those books, and I really hope not to be wrong about those books because I do have really high expectations for all of them. And yes, I guess that we will see in a year if those books were actually 5 stars or not. Let's hope that yes. It was so fun to look at my TBR and to actually realize which books I'm really excited about. And yes, thank you so much for watching this video. Until my next video, you can check more videos by me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye everyone!